Royal Albert Hall is a concert hall on the northern edge of South Kensington, London. Best known for holding the Proms concerts annually each summer since 1941, it has a capacity of up to 5,272 seats. The hall is a registered charity held in trust for the nation and receives no public or government funding. Since its opening by Queen Victoria in 1871, the world's leading artists from many performance genres have appeared on its stage, and it has become one of the UK's most treasured and distinctive buildings. Each year it hosts more than 390 shows in the main auditorium, including classical, rock and pop concerts, ballet, opera, film screenings with live orchestra, sports, award ceremonies, school and community events, charity performances and banquets. A further 400 events are held each year in the non-auditorium spaces. The hall was originally supposed to have been called the Central Hall of Arts and Sciences, but the name was changed to the Royal Albert Hall of Arts and Sciences by Queen Victoria upon laying the hall's foundation stone in 1867, in memory of her late husband consort, Prince Albert, who had died 6 years earlier. It forms the practical part of a national memorial to the Prince Consort. The decorative part is the Albert Memorial directly to the north in Kensington Gardens, now separated from the hall by the road Kensington-Gore. History: 1800s. In 1851, the Great Exhibition was held in Hyde Park, London. The exhibition was a great success and led Prince Albert, the Prince Consort, to propose the creation of a permanent series of facilities for the enlightenment of the public in the area, which came to be known as Albertopolis. The exhibition's Royal Commission bought Gore House and its grounds on the advice of the Prince. Progress on the scheme was slow, and in 1861 Prince Albert died, without having seen his ideas come to fruition. However, a memorial was proposed for Hyde Park, with the Great Hall opposite. The proposal was approved and the site was purchased with some of the profits from the exhibition, once the remaining funds had been raised. In April 1867, Queen Victoria signed the Royal Charter of the Corporation of the Hall of Arts and Sciences, which was to operate the hall, and on 20 May, laid the foundation stone. The hall was designed by civil engineers Captain Francis Folk and Major General Henry Y.D. Scott of the Royal Engineers, and built by Lucas Brothers. The designers were heavily influenced by ancient amphitheatres, but had also been exposed to the ideas of Gottfried Semper while he was working at the South Kensington Museum. The recently opened Cirque d'Hiver in Paris was seen in the contemporary press as the design to outdo. The hall was constructed mainly of Fareham red brick, with terracotta block decoration made by Gibbs and Canning Limited of Tamworth. The dome on top was made of wrought iron and glazed. There was a trial assembly made of the iron framework of the dome in Manchester. Then it was taken apart again and transported to London via horse and cart. When the time came for the supporting structure to be removed from the dome after reassembly in situ, only volunteers remained on site in case the structure dropped. It did drop, but only by 5/16 of an inch. The hall was scheduled to be completed by Christmas Day 1870, and the Queen visited a few weeks beforehand to inspect. The official opening ceremony of the hall was on the 29th of March 1871. A welcoming speech was given by Edward, the Prince of Wales. Queen Victoria was too overcome to speak. At some point, the Queen remarked that the hall reminded her of the British Constitution. A concert followed, when the hall's acoustic problems became immediately apparent. Engineers first attempted to solve the strong echo by suspending a canvas awning below the dome. This helped and also sheltered concertgoers from the sun, but the problem was not solved. It used to be jokingly said that the hall was the only place where a British composer could be sure of hearing his work twice. In July 1871, French organist Camille Saint-Saëns performed Church Scene from the Faust by Charles Gounod. The orchestra described his performance as an exceptional and distinguished performer. The effect was most marvelous, initially lit by gas. The hall contained a special system where its thousands of gas jets were lit within 10 seconds. Though it was demonstrated as early as 1873 in the hall, full electric lighting was not installed until 1888. During an early trial when a partial installation was made, one disgruntled patron wrote to the Times newspaper declaring it to be a very ghastly and unpleasant innovation. In May 1877, Richard Wagner himself conducted the first half of each of the 8 concerts which made up the Grand Wagner Festival. After his turn with the baton, he handed it over to conductor Gerhard Richter and sat in a large armchair on the corner of the stage for the rest of each concert. Wagner's wife Cosima Wagner, the daughter of Hungarian virtuoso pianist and composer Franz Liszt, was among the audience. The Wine Society was founded at the hall on 4 August 1874, after large quantities of cask wine were forgotten about in the cellars. A series of lunches were held to publicize the wines, and General Henry Scott proposed a cooperative company to buy and sell wines. 1900s. In 1911, Russian pianist and composer Sergei Rachmaninoff performed as a part of the London Ballad Concert. The recital included his Prelude in F-sharp minor, Prelude in G-sharp minor, and Prelude in C-sharp minor. In 1933, German physicist Albert Einstein led the Einstein Meeting at the Hall for the Council for Assisting Refugee Academics, a British charity. In 1936, the hall was the scene of a giant rally celebrating the British Empire, the occasion being the centenary of Joseph Chamberlain's birth. In October 1942, the hall suffered minor damage during World War II bombing but was left mostly untouched as German pilots used the distinctive structure as a landmark. In 1949, the canvas awning was removed and replaced with fluted aluminium panels below the glass roof, in a new attempt to solve the echo, but the acoustics were not properly tackled until 1969, when a series of large fiberglass acoustic diffusing discs was installed below the ceiling. From 1996 until 2004, the hall underwent a program of renovation and development supported by a £20 million grant from the Heritage Lottery Fund to enable it to meet the demands of the next century of events and performances. 30 discrete projects were designed and supervised by architecture and engineering firm BDP without disrupting events. These projects included improving ventilation to the auditorium, more bars and restaurants, new improved seating, better technical facilities and more modern backstage areas. Internally, the circle seating was rebuilt in 4 weeks in June 1996, providing more legroom, better access and improved sight lines. 2000s. The largest project of the ongoing renovation and development was the building of a new south porch, door 12, accommodating a first-floor restaurant, new ground-floor box office and below-ground loading bay. Although the exterior of the building was largely unchanged, the south steps leading down to Prince Consort Road were demolished to allow construction of an underground vehicle access and loading bay with accommodation for 3 HGVs carrying all the equipment brought by shows. The steps were then reconstructed around a new south porch, named the Mater Foyer after a significant donation from Mr. and Mrs. Mater. The porch was built in a similar scale and style to the 3 pre-existing porches at door 3, 6 and 9. These works were undertaken by Taylor Woodrow Construction. The original steps featured in early scenes of 1965 film The Ipcress File. On 4 June 2004, the project received the Europa Nostra Award for Remarkable Achievement. The east and west porches were glazed and new bars opened along with ramps to improve disabled access. The stalls were rebuilt in a 4-week period in 2000 using steel supports, allowing more space underneath for 2 new bars. 1534 unique pivoting seats were laid, with an addition of 180 prime seats. The choirs were rebuilt at the same time. The whole building was redecorated in a style that reinforces its Victorian identity. New carpets were laid in the corridors, specially woven with a border that follows the elliptic curve of the building in the largest single woven design in the world. Between 2002 and 2004, there was a major rebuilding of the Great Organ, built by Father Henry Willis in 1871 and rebuilt by Harrison and Harrison in 1924 and 1933. The rebuilding was performed by Mandra Organs and it is now the second largest pipe organ in the British Isles with 9,997 pipes in 147 stops. The largest is the Grand Organ in Liverpool Cathedral, which has 10,268 pipes. 2011. During the first half of 2011, changes were made to the backstage areas to relocate and increase the size of crew catering areas under the south steps away from the stage and create additional dressing rooms nearer to the stage. 2012. During the summer of 2012, the staff canteen and some changing areas were expanded and refurbished by contractor 8 Build. 2013. From January to May, the box office area at Door 12 underwent further modernization to include a new cafe bar on the ground floor, a new box office with shop counters and additional toilets. The design and construction was carried out by contractor 8 Build. Upon opening, it was renamed the ZVI and offer a mater porch and foyer, owing to a large donation from the couple. In autumn 2013, work began on replacing the Victorian steam heating system over 3 years and improving and cooling across the building. This work follows the summer prom season, during which temperatures were particularly high. 2014. From January, the Café Consort on the ground tier was closed permanently in preparation for a new restaurant at a cost of £1 million. The refurbishment, the first in around 10 years, was designed by consultancy firm Keen Brands and carried out by contractor 8 Build. The Italian kitchen was officially opened on 15 April with a lunch or dinner menu of stone-baked pizzas, pasta and classic desserts design. The hall, a Grade I listed building, is an ellipse in plan, with major and minor axes of 83 meters and 72 meters. The great glass and wrought iron dome roofing the hall is 41 meters high. It was originally designed with a capacity for 8,000 people and has accommodated as many as 9,000. Around the outside of the building is a great mosaic frieze, depicting the triumph of arts and sciences, in reference to the hall's dedication. Proceeding anti-clockwise from the north side, the 16 subjects of the frieze are various countries of the world bringing in their offerings to the exhibition of 1851, music, sculpture, painting, princes, art patrons and artists, workers in stone, workers in wood and brick, architecture, the infancy of the arts and sciences, agriculture, horticulture and land surveying, astronomy and navigation, a group of philosophers, sages and students, engineering, the mechanical powers, and pottery and glass making. Above the frieze is an inscription in 12-inch high terracotta letters that combines historical fact and biblical quotations. This hall was erected for the advancement of the arts and sciences and works of industry of all nations in fulfillment of the intention of Albert, Prince Consort. The site was purchased with the proceeds of the Great Exhibition of the Year MDCCCLI. The first stone of the hall was laid by Her Majesty Queen Victoria on the 20th day of May MDCCCLXVII, and it was opened by Her Majesty the 29th of March in the year MDCCCLXXI. Thine, O Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty. For all that is in the heaven and in the earth is thine. The wise and their works are in the hand of God. Glory be to God on high and on earth peace. Below the arena floor there are 2 4,000-gallon water tanks, which are used for shows that flood the arena, like Madame Butterfly Amphi corridor on the ground floor, facing west from door 6. The door 9 porch at night. Second tier corridor, facing west from door 6. Fluted aluminium roof and diffusive discs seen from the gallery. The glazed roof and vertical struts supporting the fluted aluminium ceiling, beneath the wooden floor.